Hello, I'm Ollie and this is CriminOlly, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, why I'm not worried about AI or TikTok. So at the moment in the bookish space, there seems to be a lot of discussion and concern about two things in particular. One of those is TikTok and its impact on people's attention spans, and the other one is AI and the possibility that AI will be used to write books in the future, and is probably already being used to write books. Now, I'm not particularly worried about either of those two things, and I wanted to talk in this video about why that is. But firstly, let me just say that I think it's really natural for us as book lovers, as lovers of reading, to be worried about our hobby, to be worried about books and things that might impact the books we read and might impact our pleasure in reading. I think it's, when you love something like we all love books, it's really, really natural to be concerned about it. In the same way you'll be, as a parent, you might be concerned about your children, or you might be, concerned about your friends and the people in your life. You care about the things that you love. So I'm not trying to dismiss people's concerns about these things at all. I just wanted in this video to say why I'm not particularly concerned about either of them. So let's talk about TikTok first. So there is this perception that TikTok is having an impact on people's attention spans, that it is reducing people's ability to engage with long form style content, be that movies or books or whatever. And I just don't think that's true. I think that, yes, there is, TikTok has had a huge impact on social media, and a lot of people really, really love TikTok. They love that kind of short form style of video. But I don't think that necessarily means that they don't also love longer form style of content. When you look at the trend in TV over the last few years, it's been for really, really long series, series that have one continuing story for 20 plus episodes per season and run for 6 or 7 seasons, and people really get bought into that kind of thing. The other thing that's continues to be really big at the moment is video games that can take kind of 20, 30, 40 hours to play, and that people get completely absorbed by and really buy into. And I think that those things can continue to exist whilst TikTok is grabbing people's attention in just the same way that books can continue to exist. So for me personally, there are times during the day when I want a quick fix, when I want something that is going to engage me for a short amount of time and give me a quick burst of pleasure. Now, I'm not a particularly big user of TikTok, but I am really into at the moment the New York Times puzzle app, which has things like Wordle in it. So doing the Wordle in the morning is something that I know is only going to take me a few minutes to do, but will give me pleasure. And I can do that in times during my day when I don't have time to sit down and dedicate to reading. I think TikTok is similar to that. It's something that gives people a quick burst of enjoyment, but that doesn't mean that they aren't at other times in the day going to want to sit down and read a book or watch an hour-long TV episode or something like that. So I think that the importance, the influence of TikTok, the impact of TikTok is being a bit overblown because it is a new thing. And whenever a new technological thing comes along, people get worried about it and people start theorising about the impacts that it's going to have on society. This is something that has always happened. When movies were introduced, people worried that they would corrupt people. When TV became really prevalent in people's homes, people worried about the impact of that. In the UK, when home video was released, we had the video nasty scare. Even when novels were first introduced, people worried about the impact of novels on impressionable young women and on their minds. Yeah, so we always have these moral panics. They are a cyclical thing. Whenever something new comes along, people start worrying about it. And I think that is exactly what's happening with TikTok at the moment. There's a story that's been doing the rounds at the moment, a report that I think was originally published in The Atlantic about the fact that Ivy League students apparently can no longer read a whole book. And I think in people's minds that has become conflated with TikTok. Now, reading that article, it's actually not about TikTok at all. What it's about is the way that literature is taught in American schools now, and the fact that people being taught literature at school in America don't necessarily have to read the whole book. The teaching tends to focus on individual passages rather than the book as a whole. And that is, given in the article as a reason why Ivy League students can no longer read whole books. Now, I had a couple of thoughts reading that. So the first one is, why do we care about what Ivy League students can do? We should care about what we can do. Like, I'm not an Ivy League student. I would never have been an Ivy League student, and I can still read a whole book. Are Ivy League students smarter than me? No, I don't think they are. I think they are better at passing exams than me. And that's, why education, the way things are taught in schools has changed. Education, I think, has become much more about training people how to pass exams than it is about instilling a love of learning in people. And I think that, probably is a bad thing. But this story about Ivy League students, I don't think is anything to do with TikTok or social media. It's about the way books are taught in schools. Okay, so those are my thoughts on TikTok. Let's move on to AI. So there was a story that did the rounds recently about a group of tech bros who set up a company where they're going to use AI to produce thousands and thousands of books and absolutely flood the market. And I think a lot of people got worried about this. People were worried about AI, and its influence on publishing and writing generally already. And I think this story really kind of, crystallised people's concerns about it. I'm really not worried about it at all. Let me tell you why. It's because I don't think AI will ever be able to write a book that is convincing in its humanity. Yeah? So I think AI will definitely be able to write books that are like other books. If you tell an AI to write a book like The Fourth Wing, it will probably churn out something with similar themes and a similar plot and similar types of characters. But what it won't be able to do is give you a human connection with the book. And don't for a minute think that publishers don't already have enough books that are written by real people to publish. Publishers have thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of books sitting in their slush piles that have been sent to them by people that they have not got round to looking at yet. They've already got more than enough content to publish and, are already being very selective about what they do publish. So I don't think AI producing even more books for publishers to think about and worry about is really something that we should be too concerned about as people. I think when people read books, what they are looking for is that human connection with the author. Now, that may also be, wrapped up in particular tropes and plot points and things like that. There may be things that attract people to the books in the first place. But when you are reading a book, it's that emotional connection with the author that I think really matters. And I think that's one of the things that is almost unique to reading as a hobby. When you watch a movie, so many people are involved in the production of a movie that you will still have an emotional reaction to a movie, but it's not like reading a book where there is just the author and the reader. And in the moment of reading the book, you are having a very deep personal connection with the author of the book, and you're never going to get that connection with a computer. I don't think AI will ever evolve to the point where it can convincingly be a true writer, where it can convincingly create that emotional connection with the reader. And I think people will always know the difference. Even if there are loads of AI books out there, I think A, publishers will have to disclose that books are AI. And B, I think when readers read those books, they will be able to tell. And they will turn their back on those books as a result, because there are plenty of books that are written by people where you will get that emotional connection. To use another example, if you think that there was a thing a while ago about AI bartenders, about robot bartenders, and this kind of cool idea that you go into a bar and there'd be a robot behind the bar, like something from Westworld or something like that, and you would be able to buy a drink from them. So I think that's something that is, kind of intriguing to people. It's kind of a cool idea. It might be something that's fun to try out. But when you think about what makes a really great bartender is not someone who can mix a cocktail perfectly and sell that to the consumer. What a great bartender is someone who can have that human connection, albeit very brief sometimes, with the person that they are serving. It's not just about making the drinks and getting the money for them. It's about building up a quick emotional connection with the person who's buying the drink and making them feel at home, making them feel comfortable in the bar that they're in. That's what makes a great bartender. And a robot bartender is never going to be able to do that in the same way that an AI writing books is never going to be able to build that emotional connection with the reader. Where I do think AI will have an impact, though, is on publishing, on the way that publishing works. So I said earlier that publishers have, hundreds of thousands of books from authors sitting, waiting for them to read and consider. I think where they will use AI is to trawl through those slush piles and to find the next book that is like a book that is already popular. So to find the next A Court of Thorns and Roses, to find the next, to find the next Fourth Wing. So they will train AIs to read loads and loads of manuscripts and find the next books that will be popular. So that may lead to, I think it will have an impact on jobs in publishing, but it may also lead to growing homogenisation of the fiction market in particular. So we will see, publishers are always looking for the next book that is like the last book that was really successful. And that for me is something that is slightly worrying. And that's why I think we should continue to champion independent authors. I think the independent book publishing scene is really, really interesting at the moment. There are loads of authors who are out there just doing their own thing and selling their work direct to readers without the influence of publishing. And I think you can find some wonderful, wonderful books that way that are outside, the traditional publishing space. And I do worry that with AI, traditional publishing will become more and more just the same books being published again and again and again, written by real people, but found for the publishers by AI. So that's why I'm not particularly worried by either TikTok or AI, but do let me know in the comments what you think. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well out there. Hope you're reading good stuff, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.